Hey folks, David Lennon with your weekly business tip, and I got a lot to cover today, a lot of really good stuff. It started out small, but then the more I worked at it, I realized there's some absolute gems that I really have to share, and I'm passionate about sharing. I started off wanting to talk about some reasons why we don't take action in business and why we procrastinate, because I see that a lot, and I see it, myself too. And there's some great strategies to help overcome that. And as I worked on that, I realized there's a lot more than that. It's all about the inner game, what's going on up here. Because what's going up here dictates what you have here in your hand. Everything in your life right now is a product of what's been going on up here. So it makes sense, especially in business, to look at our inner game, the inner game of business. Fix the software up here, we get a different outcome. And as the saying goes, doing the same thing and expecting a different outcome is a definition of insanity. So today I'm going to talk about some topics, some strategies that are absolute gems in taking action, stop procrastinating, and releasing the brake that you might have on making dollars in your business and receiving dollars actually in your hand, because you can do all the marketing, you can do all the management strategies, all the networking, but if you don't have it up here, if you don't have the belief up here that you can have it here, guess what? You ain't going to have it. You're going to sabotage it. You're going to make the wrong decisions. You're just going to subconsciously choose, because the subconscious mind wants to keep you safe. And a lot of times the subconsciousness is wanting to keep you safe from failing. We all have a tendency to fear failure. It's one of the most common flaws in us as humans. It's about safety, and taking a risk is putting ourselves out there and potentially embarrassment or failure. We've got the subconscious mind that's like this servant of the bumbling king or queen that goes around thinking everything's working fine, but in the background you've got this servant or this staff that are very carefully orchestrating things so the king or queen doesn't get hurt, doesn't get killed, or doesn't get embarrassed. And that's a bit like our subconsciousness. It wants to keep us safe. It wants to keep us in that zone of comfort. And I'll talk more about that. Focus. Focus is the first thing I want to talk about, because what you're focused on dictates what you have here. Now you can focus on good and you can focus on bad. What you have and what you don't have. The glass is half empty, half full. For example, personally, 1991, I was in a fatal car crash. I wasn't the driver. I suffered a lot of injuries. I came out good. I mean, I survived. So what can I complain about? But I've got a steel plate in my neck. I had a heap of over 6 months of rehab. I focused, and also thanks to the medical profession that wrote off my future and told me how bad it could potentially be and what I couldn't do. So I focused on that, and guess what? I spiraled down. I just went down into major depression. Life was hopeless because of what I was focusing on. I was focusing on what I couldn't potentially do. Luckily, I've been blessed with an inquiring mind. I'm always seeking, and I shifted my focus for answers and other alternative realities and futures for myself. And thanks to that, there's a lot of pain, there was a lot of money spent, there was a lot of practitioners, you name it, I went to it. I'm standing here today feeling good. Also, my focus on what I could earn. Now, I remember back in the 90s being excited about 47 grand a year. Then I started seeking knowledge about earning more and working less. Bob Proctor was a great one. That was a real eye-opener for me on having it in here, the belief that you can have it before you can have it here. And that really hit home. And the next year I made 47 grand in 6 months instead of 12 months. I've taken a business from 30 grand a year to 900 grand a year in 12 months. But I couldn't do that until I realized I could and accepted that I could. So we can focus when we're making the decision, when we're sitting there faced with a decision, whatever it might be in business, we can focus on what we can do, and we can focus on the pain. What it's going to take from us. This is below the line thinking. So we might be looking at our competitor and looking at everything that they're doing and thinking, damn, if only I could do that, but I can't. I can't do that. I can't be like them. They've got extra sales staff, so I can't go around as many prospects. They've got better looking vehicles. They've got a better salesperson, so I can't. Well, where's that going to get me? That's just focusing on what I can't do. Making a decision, often we just focus on the pain and the work involved in taking that task. Or we can move above the line and focus on what we can do and what we're going to gain and the reward from that action. And there's 3 really good questions that I find so useful in this that will really help you out when you're faced with any kind of decision, especially the bigger decisions. These are just the 3 that will really help you make decisions on what you need to do in your business. Number 1, what will it give me? Taking this action, what will it give me? Not just in terms of dollars, but in terms of perhaps extra time, reduced stress, increased credibility. There's some paths we've got to take, some actions we've got to take in order to boost our credibility in an industry, which will then lead on to further work. So what will it give me in terms of dollars, better time management, less stress? The next one is, what will it cost me? And again, what will it cost me in terms of time, stress, money, credibility, whatever else is relevant to you and your business? And then finally, the final question is, will it or will it not take me to my vision? Will that action take me to my vision? Because, and I see it a lot, and and I do it as well. We get gung-ho and we go and act, and then we realize that, down the track, that wasn't really taking me to my vision, because I forgot what the vision was. And it helped and it was fun and we did it, but it hasn't ultimately taken me closer to my vision. So we're not any closer to the vision. So those are the 3. Just use those 3, put them on paper, because you get it out of the brain, get it on paper. The brain can only process so much at a time. It's a bit like the RAM in your computer. Your working memory can only process so much. So getting these things on paper frees up the mind to make better decisions, because it's less cluttered. It's not running as many programs. If you open 10 programs on your computer, what does it do? It starts slowing down. So you've got to face it, today's life, we've got the family, we've got the kids to pick up, we've got after school activities, then we've got the business, we've got the staff, the marketing, the accounting, the payroll. There's all these things that need fixing, stuff that needs fixing there. Free up the mind, stop running all those programs in your working memory, get these decisions and the facts down on a piece of paper, and it will really, really make it a lot easier to see the facts and make a decision. Okay, so there's those 3. So that's how, when you're coming to a decision and you feel you're procrastinating, have a think about, what are you focusing on? Are you focusing on the pain of doing that action and what it's going to cost you, and it's going to be hard, I might fail? Or you're focusing on what it can give you? So that, just shifting that focus to above the line, can make it easier to decide and get motivated to do it. Another reason we sometimes don't act is the why. And again, it comes to this. So if our why isn't big enough, we tend to be not motivated about doing it, and we'll drop down on priority. So this helps remind you of the why of taking action and doing what you're contemplating doing. Okay? So your why has got to be big enough. If it's not, you ain't going to be motivated. And this goes for your staff too. You know, be aware of when you're looking at staff not actually acting, maybe it's the why. The why is not big enough. You need a bigger boot to kick them up the ass. The last one I want to talk about is the values. Your values. It gets very hard to make a decision when we've lost sight of our values. And a reason that we can be having trouble making a decision is because it's not aligned to our values. So have a think about that. If you're beating yourself up for not taking action and procrastinating, sit back, and if you haven't already, jot down what your top values are and think about, is that action aligned with my values? Because you might find that that action is not aligned with your values. And then you go, oh, well, yeah, no wonder I'm having trouble getting motivated about that. Explains it. And it could be the same for your staff too. It might be another reason that they're not taking action in a certain way. It's because it's not actually aligned to their values. Okay? So, your focus, make sure you've got a big enough why. Have a look to see if it's aligned with your values. Now, releasing the brake on dollars. This is a really interesting one, and I'm not kidding. You need to understand this. You need to really have a good look at yourself, and if you're not happy with the dollars that you're making in terms of revenue or profit, you really need to sit there and feel, what would it be like if you had somebody paying you the dollars that you would love to have? So it might be in terms of a signed contract and the phone call saying, congratulations, you've won the contract. It might be in terms of actual bank account statement and seeing the dollars there. It might be somebody face to face in a meeting saying, yep, we'll sign you up for X dollars an hour. Whatever it is, see how you feel when you imagine that. Do you feel any prickles, any uncomfortableness? That's the warning signs that something in your software is not going to allow you to have it here. Does not believe you can have it here. And until you address that, you're going to keep subconsciously sabotaging your actions so you don't have it. So that's where success coaching, business coaches, I can help you with that as well. It's looking at where there might be a block in having it. Does it feel comfortable? Can you visualize yourself really having that much money? Can you? If you can, great. Just implement these other things and some good marketing and you're rocking and rolling. Success is yours. So there you go. I hope that's been helpful. Rock on, have a good one, and I'm here if you need me. Thanks a lot.